Hi Sag, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot and welcome to your cards for July. My apologies on the readings being a little bit late this month. Life is life. We're in the center of eclipses and craziness. I've had a lot of stuff going on with my family and I think it's a really good example to say that we have to be compassionate and give everybody a little extra compassion and understanding this month as well, because there's a lot going on. And I've been urging my signs to really be cognizant of your ability to understand others at this time. I think the Mars in Aries energy, which is making a trine to your Sagittarius placements, could create a sense of urgency. It could be urgency in yourself. It could be urgency, certainly, if you're waiting on others. But there's a need to get things moving. We feel like we have to make the big decisions, like now or never kind of energy. But also in that energy is a whole lot of people trying to make a lot of things happen. And so you have to be a little bit forgiving when other people aren't focused on exactly what you feel the need to focus on at the moment. And it's not to say one is right or wrong. If you look collectively, there's a division in people like I've never seen before. It fascinates me how people can get so upset over, your opinion on wearing a mask. It seems so silly, and yet these conversations are getting so heated, and some of them have a lot of validity on both sides. I have to say that I've sort of been really focusing on the news. I've even gone a little bit deeper. I've been following things and trying to research things and inform myself, and it's been stressful, to say the least. Because what happens is when our foundations feel weak and our government, our communities, regardless of how good things are going in your personal life, you're still absorbing the energy around you, and that is of instability. So we're working with that energy, and it's going to take a lot of patience. We're going to have to counter that Mars in Aries. And it's really important this month because we could, there's a lot of Mars Mercury going on in the month of July, meaning we could be really harsh with our words. We could take things too far. We could feel frustrated and verbally take it out on others. I'm even seeing this play out, with my son. He's 6 years old. And he's, well behaved and just precious. But lately, in the past few days, since Mars has gone into Aries, it's kind of gone from hey mommy to mommy, 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 mommy. And, and of course we're all like, give me a second, I'm gonna, So even with children, as adults, we have to recognize this sense of urgency within us and within others, and be able to take a deep breath before we say things and do things to the people that we love that could ultimately leave scars. Now I say that because as Mars is in the sign of Aries, he's meeting up with Chiron in July, and that could create a situation where maybe people get hurt, or we're motivated by something that hurts us, which is fine. I mean, that's okay. It's okay to seek motivation. Mars in Aries, by all means, do the things, start the workout routine. Don't hold back, but also don't be careful not to hurt people in the process. That was a long-winded way of me saying be conscious of the people around you and be nice. Now, the other thing going on for you is there's a really big emphasis on second and eighth house matters. This Pluto, Jupiter conjunction that we're in right now is in your second house. Now we have finally Saturn gave you a little bit of a break, although I'm not sure how much of a break it was as we were all quarantined. But Saturn gave you a little bit of break and moved into your third house. Now he's moving back. Now all planets are retrograde. So hence the idea of frustration, because Mars in Aries says, let's move, let's make the big changes, let's do the things, let's sell the house, let's get a new job, let's get out of this partnership, let's start this partnership, let's get married, let's do everything, you know. But almost literally all of the planets are in retrograde, saying, let's look back. Let's review what we've learned in the past 6 months. Let's focus inwardly on healing ourselves first. So you want to move, which is good, because mentally you could really start getting your shit together, right? Make the to-do list, get a plan, set the goals. But don't expect a lot of things to come to fruition in July. It's more of an internal battle. We're still working through things. And you have a set of eclipses offsetting, you know, that second house energy in your eighth house. And this is a house of, you know, your intimacy, your the way that you share resources with others. So if you're in a relationship, you're living with somebody, or you're married, joint finances might be a focus. Taking things to the next level, trust issues, learning to trust others and being intimate, opening our heart kind of things. This is like, you know, seventh house is like the marriage, the contract, the honeymoon, the goals and the plans and your identity together. But the eighth house is like, who are you when things get hard? You know, who are you together when things don't go great, when you're not on vacation? You know, it's the hard times and what it brings out of you. So I say that because, and I almost never do this, but I'm focused really on the bottom of the deck here. Queen of Swords energy. And I like this because this is what I'm talking about. This is where the progress is going to come this month. It's with sorting out our thoughts, cleaning out our thoughts, that warehouse of, you know, but this is a plan. Let's stick with the plan. And the Queen of Swords knows that sometimes plans need to be changed. There's adjustments needed. There's the foresight. You know, you could almost sense that something might go wrong. There's a weak link somewhere and you could fix it before it causes a disaster. That's what you're doing in July. You're getting things together and you're getting really clear on your vision for the future, your vision for where you want to live, where you want to set up residence, this person that you're becoming. Second house is really about your values. It's not just about finances, although you'll see it play out a lot within your money, your finances, your job, and your career. But it's more about your values and how you allow others to value you. What are your expectations? The second house, eighth house transits can really be a moment of realizing that all these years, maybe relationships haven't been working or jobs haven't been working because of the way that we feel about ourselves. First card out, Five of Pentacles, next to the Lovers and the Page of Wands. Okay. The Lovers can be a significant relationship in your life. Very well could be. But I want to take it one step further because it will play out. The energy will play out in your significant relationships with others. but the energy is within you. And so you'll experience this even if you're single, even if, you're completely isolated from others, you will still feel this, because this is a balance within yourself. It's a balance of your masculine and your feminine energy. Your ability to create, your ability to provide, your ability to receive, and your ability to care for others. And the Five of Pentacles is kind of this shadowy place of being afraid of having no one. The Five of Pentacles, we could place ourselves in this energy of, it's a fear of not being able to pay the bills, to not being able to put food on the table, having no choice but to seek help from others. There's a lot of ego dissolving that has to occur in the Five of Pentacles, right? There's a lot of humbling ourselves, because the thing about that Five of Pentacles is that these people are out in the cold alone, but there's a building right behind them. There's a place that they can go to seek warmth, to seek shelter and food or whatever. But they ignore it because sometimes you get in the mindset, there's a mindset of being the victim. I really don't want to say anything that's going to trigger anyone. It's not to say that somebody who's a victim of something horrible actually deserved it or that they manifested it. I'm talking about the karma of victimization. So say you've had 4 failed relationships in your life, and you look back and you go, oh, it's all been the same story. This person always, the other person always does this to me. They always leave me, or they always lose interest, or they pick somebody else, or they always cheat, or they always steal my money. I mean, whatever the situation is, whatever the karmic pool is, you're always looking back at these experiences and how you were hurt by it. And whether you're doing it consciously or not, you are just setting up the next cycle for the next thing. The universe understands that you want to continue with this mindset, because when you are the victim of circumstances, you give the other person the power to affect you emotionally in that way, right? But when you take accountability, when you can look at situations and say, somehow I contributed to this, somehow I allowed this to happen, when you take that accountability, you take their power away, because you have the power to forgive yourself. You have the power to look at it and choose different things the next time. And that is how you break those karmic cycles. The Page of Wands is somebody who is curious, but they could also be very hasty. They could be very it's kind of an immature energy, and that's not always a bad thing. Sometimes I see the Page of Wands and I see somebody who's really curious about life, who isn't afraid to make those big decisions, those big changes in their life, because things don't weigh them down as much as, when you get older and all of a sudden you have children depending on you, or, you're no longer working at a job where you just kind of show up and leave, like a waitressing job or working at a store. Now you have a career, you have employees that depend on you. It just feels a lot heavier. When you take it down to a Page of Wands, you're stepping kind of in a childhood kind of mentality. But I feel like this childhood mentality is what got you into that Five of Pentacles in the first place. The Page of Wands is kind of that kid at a toy store, or maybe you take your child grocery shopping, like my son. We go to Target or something, and of course he wants to look at the toys. Mommy, I want this right now. And, you know, the worst thing that you could do is indulge every single thing that they want, because in your mind as a parent, you fear that when they grow up, they won't have the discernment to make choices that will better them. Now, when I see this combination in the second house, eighth house scenario, it's kind of like always on the edge of a financial disaster, you know, running up your credit cards. And then when something happens, like the loss of a job, you are doubly weighed down by the stress of it. There's a lack of preparation for the future. If it's relationship-wise, it's kind of wearing your heart on your sleeve, meeting somebody and falling in love so quickly before realizing there may be red flags here, or maybe this isn't the best situation for me. Maybe I am selling myself short a little bit. Maybe I'm being too forgiving, you know, and it's just the area in our life where we kind of indulge ourselves. And that might be the focus this month, that there's a fear and there's a dichotomy between fearing to lose everything and the fear to be brave enough to just start the new things. So the Five of Pentacles comes out with the Six of Wands underneath it. Six of Swords, I'm sorry. Six of Swords. Sag, I think there's something that you really want to walk away from. There's something or someone, it could definitely be a job, it could be a relationship or a friendship. I feel like it's pretty significant because there is 1, 2, 3, 4 major arcana cards in the 9-card block. So this is definitely a significant month for you in terms of energy, in terms of change and transformation. And I think you're trying to get distance in a relationship, distance in a job. Maybe you've already said, I'm moving away, I'm walking away. Maybe you resign from your job and you've got to, you know, it's like the preparation period. And it's also the time that could be really stressful. The Lover's card. Underneath is the Hermit, card of Virgo. So Gemini, Virgo. And like I said, there's a lot of Mars-Mercury aspects going on. Mercury retrograding through most of the month until the 12th. It's in Cancer. And then it goes forward, but it still stays in Cancer for the entirety of July. This is where a lot of miscommunications can happen. This is where we could misunderstand others. And the Hermit, center of your reading, is a form of wisdom, a coping mechanism that will serve you well this month. This is maturity. So you see, we have the fear of loss, the fear of isolation, the fear of failing at something, butting up with your need to start something new, to get things started, a new passion in your life. Maybe you're walking away from a job because a hobby of yours is becoming somewhat of a full-time gig. The Hermit card says there's wisdom in the pause, that you're getting more time to really strengthen the foundations of what you're trying to build. But this work is internal. So you may be coming up with a lot of situations in your life, maybe even forced distance between people. Maybe there is a very real feeling of having to isolate this month. But it's going to serve you well, because what happens, and this is my favorite line in this entire reading if you take nothing else but this: the very basis of July is transforming that Page of Wands into the Emperor. There is so much growth here, tremendous growth about how you feel, about what you love. You're gaining strength and momentum in the month of July, no matter what is going on around you, no matter what chaos is falling around you. You have to understand that. If relationships and jobs are ending, then so be it. They're not meant to come. There is a level of faith. Death card. The Death card and the Hermit is a promise that things are going to change in a big way. But the promise is that you're going to grow so much from this situation. There will be an essence when you look back at this time. You will look back at, January through June as baby steps. And then July comes and it's kind of like this internal thunderstorm, and it really lights you up. It opens your heart. It does things to you on a cellular level that changes you. It changes your attitude, because the Emperor, it's being completely in control. Now this bottom line here, Ace of Pentacles, Eight of Cups, and the Emperor. There's a promise that opportunities are coming. These opportunities may involve going on a bit of a journey, either emotionally or actually physically, or both. Nonetheless, this is something that is destined for you. When I see the Eight of Cups, you could be living a life in which, for all intents and purposes, you are completely satisfied, and yet there's that yearning in the bottom of your soul, like there's something more. And it could start with a whisper, and you could try not to focus on it, but by the end of the month, it's a roar. Your soul needs to go on this journey. You are being asked to step into a new identity of sorts. It could literally involve moving to another state for a job, taking an opportunity, maybe moving somewhere to be with somebody. Or it could just be going on this is the beginning of a very spiritual process for you. It is an opportunity that no doubt will serve you for many years to come. The Emperor is being set up to be in full control of your future. This also means that if you're in relationships with people that let you down or disappoint you, right? It's a fact of life. It becomes less burdensome, because you no longer sit around looking at these situations and thinking, what could I have done better? Why didn't they choose a better decisions? And you start to look at it from a place of your ego, of failing. And that gets turned around this month. And instead you say, even if it was a horrible experience, even if it broke your heart, you turn around and you say, thank you, universe. Thank you for showing me the truth. Thank you for not dragging this out. You learn from these experiences. You no longer become emotionally dependent on others because you're in control, and you learn to control those emotions. If somebody disappoints you, you have a choice. You could spend a year locked in your bedroom, not being able to get out of bed kind of thing, or you could really recover and say, well, that was for my greatest good. The universe wants me to go elsewhere. There's other things out there. And you don't have to carry all of that burden of failure on you. You simply move quickly that way. You move up that mountain, you know? Like I said, since the beginning of January, since the very first Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto conjunction, we're climbing the mountain. We're reaching places we never thought we could. That's why it seems like the whole world is falling apart around us, because things are ending, you know, we can't do these jobs anymore. Our jobs are changing. This doesn't even exist anymore. It's catapulting a whole bunch of people into the places they need to be, giving them all the new opportunities. And it's just healthier to focus on what you want for the future than to be so resistant of the opportunity for success and to rebuild. It's so important that you understand that this month. Your 2 cards for your astrology that came out, 10th house, North Node. What's happening, at the very least, is probably very public for you, Sag. It's probably something that involves a lot of people. It could very well be about your career. 10th house usually is. 10th house also plays out as a form of destiny. And certainly next to the North Node, the life's purpose. You know, I just get a feeling like if you're in a dead-end relationship with somebody who isn't really contributing to your growth as a human being, somebody who isn't interested in their own growth, and so you stay stagnant, it's just not going to cut it this month. You won't be able to sustain these things because the universe is urging you to get on your path towards your destiny. And the 10th house means it's big. It means it's important, and it's going to affect a lot of people. If you're leaving a job, yes, there will be loss. Yes, you're going to have to face some fears. What if I can't find another one? What am I going to do with my life now? Have faith in the universe that something's being set up for you. Just imagine the emotion of what it's going to be like. Just think about, if you can't do this anymore, what would make you feel grateful to get up every single day and do? Set your sights there. Set your sights on that emotion and that emotional satisfaction that you can achieve, the difference that you could make in other people's lives. Focus on that emotion, and the universe will put the pieces together. It's never going to be about a specific person or a specific position, because that's where we hold ourselves short. We can't sit around and wait for other people to do their growth. You know, you just put a lot of energy and faith into other circumstances that aren't in your control and should not be in your control. You just focus on that emotion of success, that emotion of the mark that you want to leave in the world. You know, if you're working as a lawyer and you wanted to be like a professional wrestler, then, you know, maybe situations occur this month that actually present that opportunity in some crazy way. And you start to realize the contrast of how good it is to fulfill those dreams. Page of Wands, even if they're things that you haven't thought about since you were a child, even if they're things that people are going to look at you and say, oh, that is crazy, why would you do that? Well, now is the time to do it. And now is a time where it will be wildly successful. Things are changing. Your oracle card for the month. It's the Eye, right? And this is what I'm saying. The Eye, the Queen of Swords. It really is a month of preparation for you to just see what you really want, Clear out all that old emotional stuff. Clear out the job that isn't working out. Clear out the relationship that isn't serving you. Make space for the new visions. I let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love. This also is looking at yourself through the eyes of love, maybe for the first time. Sag, maybe you've stayed in relationships, maybe you've been really forgiving, maybe you've accepted a lot of stuff you shouldn't have accepted. Same with a job. And you find yourself in this karmic loop of being let down continually. And then, like I said, you take that accountability, you make the changes, and you see how you maybe contributed to that. That gives you the power to forgive yourself. And it gives you the power to change the circumstances. There is no doubt in my mind you are stepping into your power. You're not allowing things to happen like that anymore because your vision for the future is too good. It's too hopeful. You want it too much to let others affect it at this time. Your animal cards, the frog and the octopus. So the frog, the 5 of Pentacles, the 6 of Swords, and the Hermit card. There's an element of sadness here. There's definitely an element of endings or emotional hurt or loss. It's going to strengthen you. And if you look at this frog here, he looks, he kind of does appear to be in this 5 of Pentacles kind of energy of like scared, cold, alone. Look at it's raining on him. His eyes kind of look fearful and, lonely. So, but it's the frog card, it symbolizes purging, emotional cleansing, really getting the opportunity to look at the things that have happened in your life, to mourn them, to mourn the loss, cleanse it out, A suggestion, Sagittarius, for you this month is to really spend time in nature and get grounded, as well as maybe do some yoga or some stretching, because I feel like all of the chakras need to be open. It's really important because the more open you are to allowing things to come in, the easier it is, the quicker it happens, right? The less time we're stuck here. So, even a sad song could make us, like, catapult us right into a past situation, and maybe it makes you cry, but maybe you see something from a different perspective for the first time and you realize you don't hate this person anymore. In fact, you love them and you forgive them and you forgive yourself and you become grateful for what you learned. If you look back now say you're in your 40s and you think about all those relationships where you thought, oh, I wish this is the one, I hope this is the one. And in your wisdom, you're like, oh, thank God that wasn't the one, right? So there's a maturity there of being able to look back and honor yourself in that, even if it does create a few tears. And Sag, I want to tell you as well, you may be afraid of hurting other people, telling your boss that you want to move on to something else, telling a friend that you need to focus on other things, breaking up with somebody. There could be that fear of that moment when you have to hurt somebody else. And to that I say always do it gently with your heart and wish them the very best as you move on. Knowing that what you want for them is probably similar to what the universe is going to give to you. You have to come from the heart. And the octopus, This talks to me about this 10th house north node. I really feel like some of my Saggies really don't know the bigger picture. You may start to get the pieces of it, hints of it in July. But this octopus, if you look, his mind is kind of lit up, like there's been an awakening, right? And I keep calling 2020 the Great Awakening. That's what we're all going through. But those tentacles on the octopus tell me that what you're going through now, or what you're about to do, whatever journey you're going on, it's going to reach a lot of people. You know, if you're going to go within and write a book, this could be a very important book. This could be a book that could change situations for a lot of people. And this doesn't come from a place of wanting to gain fame of any way. It's not a selfish, greedy place. It is a place where the universe has taught you so much, but now they're asking you to share it with others, to share your lessons. You know, even if it's conversations with friends and saying, this was my experience, and have you ever thought about it this way? You know, it's that kind of wisdom that we can share with others and help build others up. And that's how we raise a collective vibration. You know, you cannot underestimate the power of really good, heartfelt advice, whether it's your life's purpose is being a good friend to people, you know, whatever and however this plays out for you, it's going to affect a lot of people. The overall energy of this reading, what the universe wants you to know. I ask typically for one card, and these two spit out together, and I think it goes pretty well with your reading. The Two of Pentacles and the Four of Pentacles. Second house matters. Self-worth. What do you want? You have to have the discernment this month. Queen of Swords. You have to be in the position to recognize what is making you feel like you're juggling situations. Are you talking to more than one person? Is somebody you're with talking to other people? Are there complications? What's being juggled here? Are you in a job where you're overwhelmed and you don't have a lot of help? These are the areas in your life that you need to attack. You have to look at simplifying things, because if not, you won't have enough energy to get through this process. You don't want to get stuck in having to be and do all these things for other people that you miss out on the opportunity to kind of go within and make these big changes. And the Four of Pentacles is, you know, you need to be really conscious about the things that you're holding on to. If you're holding on to things you know don't serve you well, if you're staying in relationships because they're financially beneficial to you, because you don't feel like you could go it alone, the universe is going to end them anyways. So you might as well cut your losses in a healthy way. Four of Pentacles is that fear of holding on and the fear of not sharing with others as well. Maybe you're in a relationship with somebody who doesn't want to give. They're not giving to you emotionally, physically, financially, not willing to invest any more than what they're already doing. You know, maybe they're keeping it really casual and you're in love. Well, the universe is going to cut that out too, because it wants you to focus on this thing that it's trying to get you to focus on, to go within and change it, so that you don't attract people like that anymore, so that you don't attract jobs like that anymore, because your ultimate happiness is somewhere very different than where you keep placing yourself. All right, Saggies, again, very sorry for the delay in your reading. I really do hope that you have a wonderful month of July. And I will be checking in as soon as I get all of these out again. All right, take care. Don't forget to press the like button if you can. It helps the channel grow and it gets messages out to more people. And I really, really appreciate it. Thanks, Sag. Bye.